The days and weeks are absolutely flying by. I cannot believe it is Friday already. I hope everyone had a wonderful week. Once again, I want to say thank you to everyone who shows up here every day and engages, likes, and shares and subscribes. Gratitude is much like discipline in the sense that it is basically letters written in the sand. That's why I use images like this to lead off with. Because you can say thank you once, but it will eventually lose its luster unless it's revived. The tide will come in and take it away. Same thing with discipline. It has to be something you do every single day. And that's why I try to the very best of my ability, put up videos for you guys every single day here and once a week over at Patreon. Now, today, brand spanking new video over at Patreon, part 4 in our series dealing with specifically men's issues during grid down, shit hits the fan. What particular things are going to confront men when the power goes out, when the internet goes away, and it starts being all about people? It's really going to be about psychology. And I'll warn you, this video, much like the others, is somewhat controversial. We take the gloves off. We can, because we can partner with Vimeo. It's only $1 in this video that we've dropped today at Patreon. We talk about the one thing you can do, subtle trick and technique that you can use, men can, to divine where women are coming from, to separate the good ones, the ones with honorable intentions, from those who might just be trying to use you. There is a very easy technique, a subtle tactic, one thing you should always be looking for. And we cover this. I've used this image before. I also relate a very personal story about a conversation I had with someone that I had known from many, many years before, where my perception of a thing was completely changed based on one conversation. And thank God every day for that conversation and the experience. But once again, that's for the folks over at Patreon. It's even less than $1 a month if you sign up for an entire year. That's right. Not $1 a video, not $1 a week, $1 a month. Would love to have you over there. Many have joined. Guys, you're going to need this information. You got to trust me on this one. You're going to need this information. What if I told you, though, that the discipline level in the U.S. military right now is lower than what it was for elementary school kids in the 1970s? That's right. You see, the tactics and techniques used to maintain good order and discipline in the 1970s were higher than what we see now in the U.S. military. And to me, that's frightening. That is absolutely frightening. These guys are going off into harm's way, where the people coming the other direction just want to see them dead. What would you do? What would you be willing to do as an instructor to save their lives, even if they didn't like it now? You see, the vast majority of the things that make us better in the future, we don't like at the time. Going to the gym makes you better in the future, but boy, those days of packing the bag and going and doing the exercise and counting calories and being hungry, man, it's terrible now. But you have a future goal. You have a future goal, and that's what this was already about. So many people got their nose bent out of shape about this scenario that I put forth about making better individuals in the future. Because you don't raise children, you raise adults. They just happen to be children to become adults. Some have said, well, you don't need to be that heavy-handed with the discipline. Look what it's gotten us. Look what it has gotten us. Look what this idea has done to the military, primarily just in the last 20 years. Really about 15. If you think the retreat from Afghanistan was humiliating, just wait until any of these guys actually have to go head-to-head, nose-to-nose on the ground with a peer-to-peer military. They're going to get trashed. And they're going to get smoked by militaries that, well, the internet says aren't really as powerful as ours. Take away the technological advantage, not even close. Take away the tech advantage, which really isn't hard these days. Not even close. Some people said, Florida Monty, what are you going to do when they send the military down to Florida? We're not afraid. You think we're afraid of these guys? You think we're afraid of these guys? Really? Yeah. But I have a better example of this for you. A better example of this. Florida Monkey, wait a minute. You've goofed up. That's an image of Karen Fairchild from Little Big Town. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Actually, it does. I was a huge fan of the band Little Big Town. Some of you might know I'm a singer, songwriter, play guitar. I drop videos here once in a while. It was my original dream. It was what I wanted to do. Didn't work out. Such is life. I can still put stuff up here. But as a songwriter, when I hear a new song, I always like to listen for the lyrics and like to break it down and see what they did and how they did it. And, I've written some of my own original stuff. And, there's always a story behind it that when you look into the lyrics of something somebody writes, you can take a little tiny piece of their life and maybe relate it to yours. Well, these are two of the four in Little Big Town, Jimmy Westbrook and Karen Fairchild. Now, they're married, if I'm not mistaken. He is 1 year younger than I am, meaning he's 51, and she is a year older than I am. She's 53. So we come from basically the same place, the same era. Now, like I said, loved Little Big Town until one day I heard a song on the radio. And I listened to it and I'm like, that was awful. That was absolutely terrible. And I came home and I looked it up and I played it and I looked at the lyrics. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with these people? I really, really enjoyed listening to their music. It was really great. The lyrics of this are absolutely terrible. And let me give you that. I'm sure a lot of you have heard the song, but here's the headline for the song. Golly, we would have been the best couple ever if it hadn't been for you. We would have been a shining example of what couplehood should be if it hadn't been for you. That's basically the story of the song Better Man. It's a woman singing about how perfect she is, how unassailable her character is, and how good she did everything, and how bad the guy that she left was. He's just horrible. I'm perfect, but he was horrible. If you had just, and it's manipulative, and here's the worst part of it, it's because she's singing the song to the guy that she left. Now, if you left him, why in the hell would you be singing a song to him? You still hung up on the guy? If you left, you left. I just wish you had been a better man, because then we would have been perfect. It's terrible. It was nauseatingly terrible until I looked up who wrote it, because I thought it has to be one of the other two. Maybe they're younger. Has somebody else, and guess who wrote it? Of course. Of course it was written by Taylor Swift. If I had thought about it for a minute, I just didn't think that Little Big Town would record a song written by another huge artist like that, but because they write most of their own stuff. But of course, this is a different era of psychology. The psychology of this era says, I'm perfect just the way I am, and don't you dare try to change me. Don't you dare, because that's just however I roll. That's just the way it is. This is that, basically, in a nutshell. That idea. This is a popular meme all over the internet. How dare you try to change me? How dare you do or say anything that would make me feel like I'm not perfect just as I am at this moment in time? Now, does any of this sound familiar? Do as thou wilt. Do what thou wilt. You're fine just like you are. Do what thou wilt. Does that sound familiar? Here's a hint. It's the credo of a religion. Do what thou wilt. See, that's what this is. When you see somebody in uniform, they've been doing what they wilt for a long, 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 long time. With no consequences. Same thing way over here to the right. Do what thou wilt. Do whatever feels good, and don't let anyone tell you that anything you do is wrong ever, regardless of the long-term consequences. See, I'd be a lot more terrified to see these two come in the other direction on the battlefield than I would the U.S. military. Why? They've both shown discipline. They have both demonstrated here on this platform with the videos that they've disciplined. Jennifer, Veterans for Truth, Navy vet, got 3 kids. Patriot nurse, speaks for itself. Go look at her stuff. She walks the walk and she talks the talk. Discipline. Discipline. Tim Bassett. I have shared Tim Bassett many, many times. Started his own channel. It's not that he looks like that at his age. It's that you can go to Tim Bassett's Instagram and go back years and years and years and see that he looked like that then too. Discipline. Discipline. Self-discipline. The kind of things that you do that aren't fun, that you don't want to do, that aren't glamorous. But they're good for you. But they're good for you now. Does this make sense? Does this make sense? If you could go back in somebody's life, say somebody that died early of heart disease because they were 500 pounds, and you could do something to help them be a little bit more disciplined when they were a kid. You could maybe teach them to be a little bit more respectful of women. Ladies, I'm primarily talking to here because it was primarily ladies that had a problem with this image. If you could do something that would stick with their memory just long enough so that they would learn a new behavior, a new way of doing things. If they were going to be in the military and it was going to save their life, would you do it? Would you do it? See, that's what this was all about. And trust me, go over to Patreon. I'll tell you all about the conversation that I had with someone that explained something in my life that was absolutely one of the most eye-opening moments I ever had. It was after I was out of the military. But even in things like music, you can see the change. You can see the change. And what's that thing? What's that idea that you need to look for? Whether it's men looking at women or women looking at men, if you in survival, see if you can divine or you can extract any level of discipline in their life. Something they do regularly that isn't fun, that isn't glamorous, but they do it because they have a long-term better goal in mind. Something. You find that little kernel, that little nugget in a mate, in a prospective mate. I guarantee if you both have that in common, I mean, none of us are perfect, of course. We all have our weak moments. But if it's a value they have, if discipline is a value they have, and they understand the seed of it and why it's important, pretty much everything else you can make work out. I guarantee it, because there was a song, if I'm remembering right here, it was years ago. If I would have never had a problem, I would have never known that God could solve them, is one of the lines in that song. See, sometimes when we're challenged and we're forced to acknowledge things that we don't want to, we have these mountains put in front of us that we have to get over. And that tempered reason and that discipline is sometimes the only thing we got. So I'll leave it there. Would love to have you guys at Patreon. Would love to have you guys there. We can talk about things more like adults. And I won't have to beat around the bush so much like I do here. We get right to the point over there. 32 minutes today over there of solid content for $1 per month. So God bless. Have a great weekend. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.